Welcome, everybody, to the Speedway Review powered by NASCAR Daily. My name is Chris Burns. Joining me, as usual, once again tonight is Mr. Corey Huffnagel, and from NASCAR Daily, Mr. Mike McMahon. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Doing superb.
Yeah, I want to know how Corey's doing. We missed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to ask, how was Mom's birthday?
Well, I got to say, and also excuse everybody tonight because I have a little bit of a head cold right now. And no, I wasn't jamming at a metal concert or something last night. But no, I just have a little bit of a head cold right now and so forth. The voice is a little bit groggy, so I should be all right. But no, my mom's birthday was good. You know, we celebrated and, you know, we had a nice dinner. You know, we had some cake and got to spend time with her. And it was a nice birthday, you know, and honestly, like, you know, I felt bad that I didn't join the show last week, but, you know, I wanted to celebrate with the mom and all that. And, you know, I just pretty much said, you know, family comes first. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Good. And it looked, from what I saw earlier today, Mike, you made it back to the movie theater for the first time in a while now. For those that don't know, Mike also has a page, and I want to get the name right, so I'm going to let you do it. The Multi-Nerdverse?
It's the Nerd Multiverse. It means we cover a range of different topics, not just Marvel or DC. We cover everything. It's a page, and we also have a group. Just type in search. Thank you for that shout-out, Chris.
No problem. Anytime. So, guys, I did want to bring this up. I said I wanted to do it at the top of the program, and it was in the notes for the show that we shared out. In case anybody doesn't know it, yesterday was our man Matty D's 30th birthday.
Yeah.
And recently, obviously, with the news that Matty D will be out of a ride come the end of the season, there's a group on Facebook that I belong to called Guido Nation Fans of Matt DiBenedetto, and these are some of the classiest, most awesome human beings I've ever been in a Facebook group, easy for me to say. And one of them took it upon themselves to ask for submissions. Let's send Matt this awesome video to let him know, you know, we got his back, we're thinking about him. You know, don't let the stuff get you down. And what they did, I missed the cut because of Facebook jail. You know, when you're doing hard time, that's what happens. But the video turned out so good. I believe her name is April and Angie that took this project and really made it a reality. And from what I understand, Matt and Taylor have seen the video and they liked it. They're very cool about it. So I just wanted to give a shout out to probably some of the classiest fans I've ever had the privilege of talking to on a Facebook group, and that would be the Guido Nation Fans of Matt DiBenedetto. So for the shout out, guys, I have two requests. That's right, you, the Guido Nation Fans of Matt DiBenedetto page. One, just support this show. We have fun. Matt DiBenedetto gets a mention every single week. You'll have to listen to find out or watch to find out how he gets a mention every single week, not just the shirt. And two, since one of you guys has Matt DiBenedetto's ear, we got an off season coming up, and we want to talk to Matt. So if you can make that happen, it's at cburns19 on Twitter and Instagram. It's cburns19@gmail.com. You can also find these two wonderful gentlemen right here on Facebook. We would love to have the opportunity to talk to Matt and just basically, you know, it's not just that he's a popular driver. He's a classy driver. He's a humble driver. And the thing that sticks out to me the most is the connection he's made with the people that support him every single week, myself included. Definitely got to tip the old hat, happens to be a 21 hat, to the folks over at Guido Nation. You guys kick major ass.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Glad to have anybody who joins, and don't forget to share this with your friends if you get a chance.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to bring up, because we've put the word out, and if you're a fan of this show and you have graphic design running through your blood, we are trying to streamline the logo. So if you or somebody you love wants to give us a hand and help us out, contact myself, Mike, or Corey. I'm sure we all have, or contact all three of us. We all have ideas. Once we get a couple logos in, we'll put them to a vote, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, so Corey, you being of sound mind, body, and finally back this week, do you want to lead the parade with your topic du jour?
Sure. So I guess I saw in one of the news articles this week, it was announced that Sage Karam is going to be driving the 31 car for Jordan Anderson racing in the Xfinity Series at the Indianapolis Road Course. So I think not only he's running the IndyCar race that day, but I think he's also running the Xfinity race that day as well. And honestly, like, I'm really impressed with all these open wheel guys that are coming in and running some Xfinity races. I mean, we saw not only Santino Ferrucci, who also ran for Sam Hunt Racing this year, but now we have Sage Karam, who's also coming in as well. And there was also talk that Marco Andretti was going to possibly run a couple of Xfinity races. I don't know what team, but honestly, I think with Karam, he's been an okay driver. I mean, I have watched him in the IndyCar series mostly. He only has like about 10 top, well, he actually has 2 top 10 finishes in his 8 career starts in the Indy 500. But other than that, he's been he's kind of an okay driver. But, then yet again, I'm actually excited. I'm excited that he's getting this opportunity, though.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, and anytime an open wheeler comes into stock car racing, there is a learning curve. And, you can just look back on NASCAR history and see names like Tony Stewart or Danica Patrick or people that come from that world into this world. Some are successful, like Tony Stewart, and then there's Danica Patrick. But whether it's Mario Andretti, AJ Foyt, a lot of guys that came from the world of open wheel that come to NASCAR, or some that do it in reverse, a good driver is a good driver, no matter how you look at it. This is a young guy who potentially wants to prove himself, move out of the world of open wheels and get in a stock car. Mike, in your opinion, the best open wheeler to come to NASCAR ever?
Well, that's Tony Stewart. It's a no-brainer. I mean, everybody knows that. Yeah.
I can certainly get behind that one.
I mean, you could say Mario Andretti because he won a Daytona 500 and an Indy 500. You could say, I mean, if you want to look at trophy-wise, but I would say overall largest success, it's got to be Tony Stewart.
Right.
Fair. Corey, same question?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Mike's answer. I'm gonna say Tony Stewart also.
Okay, cool.
Am I allowed to comment on Corey's topic here?
Absolutely. That's what the show is for.
Let me chime in real quick. I don't know Sage Karam personally. I like the look of the car that's been posted. I love Jordan Anderson in that 31 program so far, picking good drivers. As far as Marco Andretti is concerned, guy impressed the hell out of me. What was that at Slinger Speedway?
Yeah.
He got that SRX win.
Oh, yeah.
So, absolutely. Bring him over. Bring Helio. Helio did real good. Put them in an Xfinity car. Let's see what they can do.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Not a bad idea at all. I would love to see some of those guys, even if for a one-off. Like, obviously,
like a Richmond or a Dover, a short track doesn't got to be as super speedway. You don't got to risk your life or anything, but not that it's dangerous, but you know what I mean. Do a short track if you're good at short tracks.
But what about a road course? I mean, a lot of these guys like Elio Castroneves, are road course qualified more so than a lot of the Cup guys. Or even the Xfinity guys. It would be cool to see someone who's been uber successful at open wheel racing come over and do one of these road courses here in NASCAR.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, bringing an open wheel guy to a road course, I mean, that's a good possibility. I mean, I remember when Juan Pablo Montoya was in NASCAR, and the one race where he impressed me the most was there was one Xfinity race, which was then the Busch Series, which was in 2007 when they were racing in Mexico at the time. And I remember in the closing laps of the race, him and his teammate Scott Pruitt, which, again, Scott Pruitt is another one who's an open wheeler and, of course, has ran Trans Am, but he's a hell of a road racer himself, too. I remember when those two guys got together, and then, of course, Pruitt pretty much said, oh, that was no good, low, nasty, dirty driving, whatever. And you could pretty much see that, Juan Pablo was on the inside. Of course, Pruitt, I pretty much would say, like, he came down and, of course, got spun out in the process. But I would say if you bring an open wheel guy to a road course, that's pretty much their wheelhouse and so forth. I mean, let's face it. I mean, when Montoya was racing in the Cup Series, the only time where he pretty much won was on a road course. I mean, not only Mexico you had, but also the Cup race at Sonoma, and then, of course, Watkins Glen as well.
Every time you move that microphone, my ears hurt.
Oh boy.
It is causing so much rub and dub. It is crazy.
Yeah.
We'll test run one day this week. Promise. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries at all.
Yeah.
But so, Mike, you got one you want to bring to the table?
Yeah, I got one. In our show last week, we got carried away doing filibuster for the absence of Corey. So I had some leftovers for you guys. There was one that I didn't get to talk about last week. So this is kind of a two-parter. It was announced, I think, by Bob Pockris, said the chassis for the next gen car were tested. They were proven safe, and they should be shipped out to the teams rather soon. I can't remember. I didn't write it down. I had it written for last week. So that's good to hear, because we were hearing about the safety test going bad, and we were worried that we were going to have another season like 2007, where we get like half the year with the old cars, half the year with the car tomorrow.
Yeah.
No self-commenting, Chris.
I remember that season.
Yeah, that was terrible.
The least you could do is share it.
Yeah.
Huh?
The least you could do is put it on the screen.
Oh.
That's beautiful. Look that's me and my daughter.
Oh, that is nice. You should post a picture of you in your Batman mask and cape.
I will, absolutely. Speaking of which,
yeah,
Corey did not share his thoughts about the experience from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Sorry to cut you. We're gonna come right back to you, Mike. But you did say you wanted to hear this. And
I want to hear it. I thought it deserved its own segment, though.
Absolutely.
Because I want to hear the both of you share your stories.
Let Corey run wild on this one, and I'll sneak in.
All right, everybody, get your favorite snack and favorite drink ready, because I'm about to tell this good story. So, all right. So where do I start off on this? So my experience began on Saturday when me and my friend Christian went up to the race up in New Hampshire for the Xfinity race. And not only it was his first race going up in NASCAR period, but it was also his birthday as well. So I figured, okay, I might as well just take him to the race for my birthday, because I couldn't find anyone to go with, because, there was some people that kind of dipped on me and because of the weather and all that other stuff that was going on. So going up to the race on Saturday, and even though I wasn't on the show last week, again, I wasn't really surprised Christopher Bell ended up winning the race, because I thought to myself, once again, we have another Cup driver winning the race, and you get the whole thing. But no, I mean, once that 54 car went out front, I knew he wasn't going to I knew nobody wasn't going to pass him or anything. It was just basically all for nothing at that point. But then after that, I think this was probably 10 minutes after the race. So we're walking down the stairs, and we're going where the catch fence is. So who's standing at the catch fence? And I'm not kidding either. Who's standing at the catch fence, right by the start finish line, is none other than NASCAR driver Noah Gragson. So pretty much what happened was everybody was throwing their hats, and he was signing autographs and all that stuff. So Christian decides he's going to throw his hat, and Noah signed it for him. And I said, dude, not only you go to the race for the first time, but you got your hat signed by Noah Gragson. Who can say no to that?
That's pretty cool. That is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Who can say that happened to them at their first race? I didn't get any autographs or meet any drivers at my first race.
Right. And then, so then as we were walking out, I see some people going by this car, whatever, or going to this one car. I'm thinking, what the hell is that like in the car, whatever? So sure enough, I can see out of the glint of my eye. I look and it's AJ Allmendinger sitting in the front seat of like a car, whatever, and he's signing autographs and whatever. And me and my friend and this one guy we were talking to, he said, "Dude, like these guys really like these guys have like a schedule to keep. Like, come on, like they should have just kept that window rolled up and just kept going because come on, they were in a car for like literally 2 hours and they need to get home and they got a schedule to keep and so forth." But so that was that. And now Sunday was very interesting. And I gotta admit, out of all the races I watched this year, I would probably say the Sunday race was pretty exciting to watch. So I was there along with Chris. We did the live show together, which was cool. So my seats were down, I think like in SG or wherever it was. I can't even remember the name now. So we ended up starting the engine. So the engine started, and next thing you know, like it started misting just a little bit. Excuse me. And so now the pace laps are going on. The mist starts to like pick up, and then all of a sudden it starts to like spit and everything. And I'm like, okay, so if it's gonna like spit a little bit, then we're gonna be okay as usual. So now the green flag waves, and I want to say like around lap 3, that's when the rain started to pick up just a little bit now. And I thought, yeah, we might want to throw a yellow because I don't know how long we're going to keep on doing this. And this is the funny part. So now I'm looking at my watch, and this was on like lap 6, whatever. I have an Apple Watch, by the way. So I'm looking at my watch, and then I look up. Kyle Busch is in the wall. Truex is in the wall. Denny Hamlin spins going into turn 1 because the guys that were up in front, they didn't know about the wet surface. And, once they hit that, yeah, pretty much they were slipping sideways. And then the guys in mid-pack, they already knew, with the guys that already spun out, they were like, oh, crap, we need to spin out. We need to slow down and all that stuff and everything. And I remember one of my friends texted me in the group text. He ended up saying this and quote, "Gee, guys, that was pretty much 2001 All-Star vibes. The year when, they had the All-Star race and then it was raining on lap 1 and, and of course NASCAR allowed them to get the backup cars out. Well, this race 2 weeks ago, they didn't do that. They don't do the backup car thing anymore, which that was an All-Star race and everything. So, all right. So fast forward to, okay, now the rain stops. The race gets restarted like around 5, close to 5:30. So now the first 2 stages I thought were okay. We had a couple spin outs. Not really too bad. The racing I thought was pretty good. I swear, I thought the 2 Penske guys of either Blaney or Keselowski, I thought those were going to be the guys that were going to win the race. I mean, I was probably watching those guys mostly. So then after stage 2, this is where the interesting part comes to play. So now NASCAR announces, okay, if it gets too dark enough that we can't see anything, we're going to give you guys 10 laps to go. So I'm thinking, okay, I wonder when the 10 laps to go is going to happen. So then, of course, the race is going on, and I'm looking at the sky, and I'm thinking to myself, I think we might have a little bit of daylight left. I don't know. And for all the guys in the Matt DiBenedetto group, you couldn't even tell, once that 21 car was out in front, you couldn't even tell how hard I was cheering for him. I was, doing this and everything. I was doing, come on, dude, we're going to win this. That's so big. Come on. I'll probably put $2 in the drawer, by the way. Anyways, and then once the 21 car went to pit road, I was thinking to myself, oh, great. Then that's when my hopes were down and all that stuff and so forth. But then in the end, Eric Almirola ends up winning the race. And I thought to myself, who would have thought that 10 car would have got his first race of the season? I mean, I don't think anybody expected Almirola to win the race. I mean, I didn't even pick him to win the race. And I was even surprised that he ended up winning 2 weeks ago. But
Right.
Let me give you some statistics for you. So it's Almirola's first win of the year. It's Almirola's first win that doesn't come on a restrictor plate track. And it's Stuart Haas Racing's first win of the season. And I thought to myself, well,
wow.
I mean,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, and honestly, I thought Harvick was going to win this year, but I did not expect Almirola to win first. But then
What? Wait, hold on. Wasn't he the only one at Stewart not to win a race last year?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Almirola didn't win last year because
Because even Custer got snuck one in.
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually,
Boyer
here's another
Boyer didn't win.
statistic. Yeah,
Boyer did not win last year.
No, Boyer.
I was
didn't
thinking
win,
Briscoe was there, but
but you
still.
want to talk about upsets. Before going into the race, Almirola was 27th in points. Yeah, 27th. Now wins the race, punches his ticket for the playoffs, and you talk about upsets, guys. We just saw a guy that was 27th in points steal the win. Well, not steal the win, but wins the race and punches his ticket for the playoffs. I mean, that's literally unbelievable. So one little quick story before I send you guys off, whatever. Anyways, so one last story. So I get to my car, and of course, traffic was pretty much bumper to bumper getting out, and I was probably in the parking lot. I didn't even get out of the racetrack till like probably 9 o'clock at night, which was like horrendous and so forth. But anyways, so I'm going down 106, and I'm just about to pass one of those entrances and so forth, when all of a sudden, I guess there was this truck. I'm going to just do this a little closer. So there was this truck that was parked like on the left, like parking between like on the left-hand side and then the only lane that was going. So now here's me on one side, and then here's the truck that's parked between one lane and then the other lane, wherever it is. And then here's the other lane where everybody's going by on the shoulder. So now I'm thinking to myself, well, I really want to pass this guy in the shoulder, but I don't know if it's safe to do so. And then I guess what happened was he was talking to one of the cops, and I don't know what was said and everything. So now next thing you know, the guy pretty much just turns, and now he's going straight. And as I'm driving by this truck, the guy's driving, and I'm not kidding. So the guy's driving, and he has a cone underneath the truck, and I'm like, really, dude? Like, really? Yeah, that was a little experience that I saw as I was leaving the racetrack. But honestly, I will say this: I pretty much got my money's worth all weekend, and honestly, that Cup race, and I know Mike says that he's not a fan of New Hampshire, but I'd have to say that Cup race was really exciting to watch. I mean, because for me, I didn't even know like when they were going to do the 10 laps to go, because when I was looking at the sky, I thought, I think they have a little bit of daylight left, but in all honesty, I think they could have got the whole race in. Even without a caution, they could have got the whole race in.
The problem with that, though, is in the event you had a caution within those last 10 laps, the darkness was creeping. Now, and I had said last week to Mike, could everybody see? Yes, everybody could see. Yeah. We could see the racing just fine. One of the things we have to remember is they're driving in vehicles with no lights. Right. So, and you have now these new illuminated telemetry boards on the dash that is taking up, it's glaring their helmet. You're not going to be able to see if it got too much darker. Well, to your point about Almirola, after the win, obviously moves from 27th to 23rd in the actual point standings, but firmly entrenches himself into the playoff picture. And like you said, I don't think there's a whole lot of people out there that were either at the race or at home who weren't trying to cheer on Matty D to a victory. But the one thing that hurt Matty D is when Almirola came into pit. I mean, yes, Matt had nearly a 5-second lead on him, and then he should have pitted the next lap. They would have come out, when he comes out and Almirola is now just getting up to speed. It doesn't take long to get your speed back at NHMS. But the fact that whoever his crew chief is, and he did have good, you were there, and Mike, you watched it on television, DiBenedetto had a really good long run car. The problem is the guy who was second going into the pits and now has fought his way back up to second, who, when you went in, took the lead, was coming fast and had better tires. And long run ability is great, but if you don't have the tires underneath you, especially at a flat track, you're assing yourself out rather quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, my question, Corey, last week was like, how do we as a sport make every race like threaten weather every race? If we could threaten the drivers every race, just have someone come on the radio and be like, there's lightning 5 miles out, rain 10 miles out, run hard. Just why can't we see that every week? But we are going to talk about later one of Chris topics. He's got a good one for us. I'm gonna save that one for later. But yeah, you said I talked all kinds of crap about it, but I'm listening to it on the radio and I'm hearing Blaney fight Keselowski and I'm delivering pad thai and I'm like, holy snipe, this is the one I missed. I watched Larson lead every lap, win every stage for the whole month of June. But the one race that I skip, I should have known you two being there, you two knuckleheads being there. Something magical was going to happen. So
is definitely a good luck charm. And again, go back to, like you were talking about, Blaney battling Keselowski. There were a lot of really great lead changes, a lot of really great leaders. To see Harvick up front again, to see Keselowski and all these guys that were battling, and and some of the missteps. Obviously, Kyle Busch being a big misstep, or in that same spin, here comes Martin Truex, but he brings that car home in 11th. To see Joey Logano at his NASCAR home track, having a terrible day. Thank you, Jordan. How are you today? Hope everything's good. And Jordan Miller. But yeah, this was easily the most exciting race since Harvick turned Marcus Ambrose on the 10th lap some years ago, and I heard it all on the radio. Had Harvick's scanner in there. Ambrose is just bumping door, and Harvick was still in the 29. He says, if this kid hits me one more time, I'm dumping him. Kevin, you can't say that. NASCAR's listening. I don't care. If he hits me one more time, I'm going to dump him. And coming out of 4, Ambrose got door-to-door with him. Kevin let off the gas. Ambrose is up there. Sorry. Enjoy your day in the garage.
Yeah.
Just dumped him. It was beautiful. But, no, again, thank you to Corey. It was a great time, and my daughter had a good time. She's looking forward to going to another race someday soon. And, looking forward to getting Mike up here for a New Hampshire event.
Oh, absolutely.
Hopefully we'll all have something to wear when I get up there that all three of us can match.
We'll work on that. Working on it. Don't let the cat out of the bag yet.
So I have a small piece of news here. It's not much of a topic, but Chris has some topics as well. So I'm going to just piggyback this as my first one. Bob Pockris reported that his sources say the second Colleague racing charter, Matt Colleague, for the Cup Series could become full-time if it can be fully sponsored. Now, they didn't say if AJ would be the driver, if he would still run a limited schedule and maybe bring in someone like a Kaz Gralla, to run the other races. But I don't see sponsorship for Colleague being a problem. But I would ask you two what your opinion would be on that.
I'm gonna let Corey hit this one up first. I know you are the Colleague racing genius, and them and GMS. Those are your. Hello, Shelly. How are you?
Hey.
Usually when I see "This is awesome," it's followed by all that WWE stuff going on in my head. Go ahead.
That's an awesome comment, though.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Shelly. Much appreciated.
Yes. I would probably say, if Colleague gets if they get a second full-time sponsor or whatever, why not? We've seen what Colleague Racing has been doing in the Xfinity Series right now. Of course, they have been doing good on the super speedways, and, they have a good lineup, in Xfinity pretty much. I think if you look at it, besides the fact that Justin Haley's going full-time in Cup next year, I wouldn't see any problem with Kaz Gralla going up full-time in Cup, or maybe possibly AJ Allmendinger full-time in the Cup Series if you think about it. But then yet again, of course, we're going to see one team where, this one car is going to run for the owner's title and you're going to have part-time drivers in it, much like how we've seen in Joe Gibbs, and Penske and all the other ones and Xfinity where, you have like multiple drivers, run a part-time schedule for the owner's title and so forth. But honestly, like, I'm really interested to see how Colleague's going to do in Cup, and they have been, pretty decent so far. Like, not good, but they're pretty decent, But next year is pretty much going to be the test of how they're going to do in the Cup Series full time, because basically they're going to get their feet wet. And not to mention, we're also going to have, the next gen car next year as well. So that's also going to be a test of how they're also going to fare with that car as well.
Good point.
Yeah.
I think Allmendinger is confirmed as that second driver. But like I said, I'm pretty sure I heard it was a partial schedule. But I do believe it is Chris Turn. Chris, I don't want to use your full name. That sounds weird, but
no,
I do believe it is.
People have lost arms for doing that. Don't. Just
Chrissy's turn. It's Chrissy's turn.
No, it's Chris's turn. Let's not make this into a hate fest. So I don't necessarily have a topic. I have a set of 7 questions, and I call these the predictor questions. We're going into the last 4 races of the season. 2 road courses, of course, Bristol, and the oval at Daytona, which obviously we all know is the biggest crapshoot in the series. Timeout. Go ahead.
So Bristol actually is in the playoffs.
Okay, then why did I must have read the schedule wrong? Please.
Yeah. So you have.
Michigan. My bad. Michigan.
Yeah. Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 2 road courses at Watkins Glen, then Michigan, and then Daytona.
Yeah, Watkins, Indy, Michigan, Daytona, I think. Yeah. Maybe not in that order.
Okay. Well, here come my questions, and they don't necessarily have to be long, drawn-out answers. It can be the first thing that comes to your mind, or think about it for a minute. I think you're all going to have different answers to these questions. We all may have the same. But we will start with Mike. With 4 races left, will we see a 14th different winner before the playoffs?
Absolutely. And this was kind of my second topic and what I wanted to talk about last weekend. Corey kind of touched on it with Almirola winning. I mean, this just raises so much. I mean, start of the season, we were off to like 8 different winners, 7 or 8 different winners right off the start of the season. So mixing it up is definitely working. Unfortunately, the 2 road courses, that's going to be your typical, I believe, Chase Elliott's or even Kyle Larson, but Larson's on kind of a decline. Byron's on a decline, even though he's high up in points. I'm trying to look at the because my topic was to talk about the playoffs. So this is kind of right, like look at where everyone is, who's on the outside looking in. So you have Hamlin and Harvick 14th and 15th in playoff points. I'm not looking at regular season anymore. At this point, it's August, regular season, don't care. Don't care who wins the regular season championship. We're focused on the playoffs, who's in, who's out. We're watching Maddie. I'm watching Tyler, Austin Dillon. Ross Chastain is hanging up there in 20th for his first season in competitive Cup Series. Oh, boy, Ross, my underdogs are up there at the start of the season. I called my underdogs. I called them out. I called Bubba. I called Byron. I called Tyler. I want to say Eric Almirola, but no, I didn't. I did not call Almirola this year. So I called Tyler Reddick and Matty D, of course, and Ross. Matt was my first choice, but they're all in there, man. They may not all make it, but they're all in contention. My Dolphins almost made the playoffs last year, so anything's possible, guys. But absolutely, I think we very well could see, and to talk what Corey said, I know I'm ranting a little bit here. I'm trying to wrap it up. This is my last point. To wrap onto what Corey said, the magic of Almirola, the surprise of Almirola. Mm-hmm. I think last year we saw with that Daytona end of the regular season, Byron getting in, even though he was out looking in.
Yeah.
We're going to see guys roll the dice here in the next month. I think we're going to see the best racing of this entire season because we've got 14th through 20th, and any one of those guys can roll the dice, stay out where everyone else pits. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Who does the opposite of these guys dominate? Who does the Matty D tries to stay out, the Almirola with the short pitting? The strategies are going to come in. I'm so excited. I'm ranting.
Yeah.
I've taken up too much time, but I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited. I think we're going to see easily. You got to win. You got to win to be in. I don't think you're not going to win and not be in.
Okay, Corey, same question. 4 races left. We see a 14th different winner?
I'm going to say yes on this one. And looking at the schedule, you have the 2 road courses coming up, and it's most likely going to be repeats, with Chase Elliott, of course, unless – and one guy, that's been really impressing me on the road courses so far has been Tyler Reddick. And, the last 2 road courses that 8 car has been on, he's been pretty much good, and actually has been – I think he finished in the top 10 in both of those, which I have to say.
He won the pole at Coda.
Excuse me. Anyways, all right. Anyways, then you have Michigan, which is most likely going to be a repeat because Larson does really well when it comes to Michigan and also the 2-mile tracks as well. And hardly enough, Michigan's the only 2-mile racetrack on the schedule. And then we get to Daytona. Now, I'm pretty much going to say this. I'm going to mark that as it's anybody's race. Now, I'm not saying a repeat. I'm not saying a different winner, but I'm going to say it's anybody's race. I mean, there's going to be a lot of scenarios that are going to happen in that race. And, of course, we all saw what happened last year. You had Matty D points his way in. Jimmy Johnson gets eliminated. William Byron punches his ticket for the playoffs, not to mention, is, of course, winning the regular season finale as well. And it was actually kind of funny because I was talking to somebody at the racetrack. I think this was like after the Xfinity race or whatever. And I was telling them, guys, the regular season finale Daytona, we can see anybody, win the race. And the one guy said to me, and I got a kick out of this, he said to me, we could possibly see a Rick Ware car win the race. And I'm like,
hey, you shake your head, Mike. Anything's possible. Anything is possible.
I mean, McDowell won the 500, so I guess.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Actually, can I just tell like one quick Bob Pocker story?
Yes.
Can I ask a question about Daytona though? Because we talked about Daytona, I have a question for you guys.
All right. Okay.
So last year I was there at Daytona for that August race. Yeah. We saw Hamlin and Harvick dip out and hang in the back, right? Because they were the points leaders.
Yeah.
So my question is, do we see 14th through 20th up front that entire race trying to win that race and 13th to 1st hang in the back?
Of course. It's the smart, especially if you're a driver like a Harvick, like a Hamlin. In some cases, Joey Logano does the same thing. If in those first 10 to 12 laps, you've got speed and you've got just a rocket up underneath you, yes, you're going to get out of the draft. You're going to go to the back. You're going to have your little playmates back there, the usual suspects, Hamlin, Harvick, a couple other guys. They're going to avoid the big ones. They're going to avoid all the chicanery. And when, strangely enough, talking about NASCAR, when the rubber meets the road, you're going to see those guys up front. And that's exactly what they did in February. Unfortunately, Hamlin was right behind that accident, comes home with a 5th place finish at Daytona this year, but he had a car that could have won. He definitely had a car that could have passed either Logano or Keselowski. Unfortunately, he just happened to be a couple steps behind, and Michael McDowell, right place, right time.
Yeah.
You guys are killing me because I'm halfway. I'm one question, and you guys already kind of alluded to the second question, which is which of the 4 remaining races on the schedule in the regular season is going to produce a surprise winner. I'm pretty sure we all have already agreed it's going to be Daytona, the last race of the regular season.
But who would it be? Who is our surprise?
It could be anybody. It could be Suarez. It could be DiBenedetto. It could be Cody Ware. Heck, if I thought he could stay off the wall long enough, it could be BJ McLeod. We don't know.
Yeah.
Corey brought up a really good point about Tyler.
He does that.
He won the pole at Coda. He's been training on the simulator, but also Ross Chastain has been doing really well overall, but also on the road courses. So, throw him in there.
Absolutely. So we're all in agreement. It's going to be Daytona that produces the surprise winner.
I think Indy. You might see a Chase Briscoe even. He actually won that race, I believe. And
Xfinity.
Yeah, if he can manage to not run the race with his hood on his windshield, he might surprise you. These guys might have a tough time with Indy. I know the video game is not the same as real life, but I struggle with it. Indy's a tough track.
Well, actually, it's funny because this is going to be the first time the Cup guys are going to race on the Indy road course, and of course, it'll be the second time Xfinity will race on the road course. And actually, I think for me, well, besides Daytona, I think we'll probably get a surprise winner maybe on the road course. I mean, if I have to pick one, maybe Watkins Glen.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe.
I'm sticking with Daytona on this one.
Yeah.
Hey, I keep interrupting Corey. I'm not used to you being here. I'm sorry. I got used to you not being here.
Yeah, he missed a week.
Oh man, I'm so sorry, Corey.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying. I just had a thought. If they put Cindric in that Indy race, watch out, buddy.
Yeah. Honestly, if they put him in one of the road course races, there's no doubt.
In that 33 car,
he could possibly steal him. But, well, let's remember this. He almost won. Well, he was doing pretty good at Road America if he hadn't had that brake problem, whatever. And not only that, he did pretty good at Coda, in the spring also. Yeah. So actually, I wouldn't count him out at all. I mean, I've watched him on the road courses in Xfinity, and let me tell you, when this kid runs on road courses, I mean, he's been really, really good.
Okay.
Anyways, so can I tell you guys a little quick story about Bob Proctor? All right. So this happened on Sunday. Me and Chris were walking the track, and we were coming down like that hill where you can see like the racetrack and everything, and we're past like the first souvenir trailer. So I'm looking to my right, and I see all these people standing around. I'm going like, what the hell is that standing around there for? Excuse me. So I look, and there's a guy wearing a blue jacket, and I'm looking at myself. I'm thinking, wait, who is that guy? And then I recognized the face, and I was like, that's Bob Proctor from Fox Sports. Are you kidding me? So,
no way.
Oh yeah, dude. So I was with the crowd, and I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, I really want to talk to this guy, but I don't know what to say. Because, dude, I had a lot of questions I wanted to ask him, but I know with media people, they have a schedule to keep, so I didn't want to keep them there too long and stuff. So I think like 10 minutes goes by, and he comes up to me, I shake his hand and all that. So the first question I asked him, the one question I asked him, I said, hey, Bob, do you think we're going to get the race in today? And Bob said to me, I think so. And I said, yeah, let's hope we get the race in, because this is my second time coming to a Cup race and everything and so forth. But actually, not only he was up there, but also Alan Cavano, who used to work at Fox Sports and who was one of the pit reporters, he was up there as well.
How is that only your second race, bud?
Because actually, let me fact check myself. It was actually my third Cup race I've been to.
Wow.
Yes, I fact checked myself. Mark this day down. I fact checked myself on July 29th, 2021. So yeah, I almost forgot because I
8:45.
Yes, 8:45. Mark it down as history. So, anyways, yeah. So. Actually, it's pretty much my third Cup race. I kind of got lost in a little moment,
All right.
But yeah, that's my story.
Okay.
I wouldn't have known what to say to Bob either.
Yeah, I didn't know what to say to him either, but I thought that was pretty cool just meeting him in person. So
tell him you got a killer pasta recipe and move the hell along.
Jesus.
All right, guys, this is where predictions start to come it's going to be a little bit harder. I don't make things easy. Right now, 3 drivers without a win above the cut line: Hamlin, Harvick, and Reddick. Who's going to get forced out?
Who's going to get forced out?
There's a potential right now, as we've been talking about, that in 4 races we can get 3 different winners. One of those kids is not like the others. Which, if the winners stay the same, if the same guys win and these 3 don't collect a win, somebody's got to get forced out, because I have a feeling with Austin Dillon only 5 below the cut line, he's not going to stay there forever. He could tip the apple cart.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. As much as I love Austin Dillon, he got in on that win at Texas last year in the summer. We're coming down to crunch time here. I don't know how well Austin does in crunch time, but you can see that he's had a bad season by where he is in the points. He's not usually. I don't think he's been this far back for like 2 or 3 seasons. So, you're not gonna like it, Chris, but I say Harvick doesn't make the 16 this year. He comes up short.
I don't have to like your answer. I just have to ask the question.
Mm-hmm. You're not gonna like it.
Doesn't matter.
You know what though? I'll not to play favoritism. I won't put. I'll put Hamlin in there too. I don't think Hamlin makes it.
There's a good possibility of that. Corey, same question. Hamlin, Harvick, Reddick. Who gets pushed out?
Gee, this one's a little bit tough on me, but I'm probably going to have to say Reddick.
I'm saying the same thing with Reddick only because of points. When you look at the standings, and I'm going back to them now, obviously Denny Hamlin, as of this moment, is leading the actual points and is 283 above the cut line. Easy for me to say. Kevin Harvick, having a rather consistent season with the exception of 2 really bad races, is 82 above the cut line. Reddick is only 5 above the cut line. So Reddick, basically what it comes down to is, like we were just talking about, if all the same winners keep winning throughout these next 4 races and it comes down to, having to race your face off, Harvick and Hamlin are safe. Reddick is the guy that really has to turn it on to keep himself above the bubble, because you have Austin Dillon right behind. You have Chris Buescher, 121 below the cut line. But look, in 4 races, that could change dramatically. Matty D, everybody's hoping Matty D wins a race. It's the only way he's going to make it above the cut line at 143 back. And Chastain and Wallace at 144 and 170, respectively.
Yeah.
From Matt DiBenedetto to Bubba Wallace, they basically from DiBenedetto down in the standings, everyone all the way down to 30th, Anthony Alfredo, you have to win to get in.
Yeah.
So basically, if I'm Tyler Reddick, if I'm that 8 team, if I'm RCR, we have one mantra going into the next 4 weeks, and it's win, win, win. But if we're going to go by conventional wisdom, which I'm not a huge fan of, but if I'm going to look at it, all things considered, Reddick is the guy who needs to really poop or get off the pot, because he is the one that's going to get pushed out.
Yeah.
All right.
Of the playoffs, not that ride like you'd like.
No, that I'd like. No, I don't mind Tyler Reddick. It's Austin Dillon who I hope loses his ride.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Anyway, well, we kind of touched on this before. 4 races left to go, 2 road courses, Daytona and Michigan. Hamlin or Harvick, who wins first? If they win. I win?
I'm gonna say Hamlin.
You're gonna say Hamlin. I think Mike's pointing at Cardboard Kevin over here. And I
like
his.
Oh, dear God. I was letting Corey go first because I keep cutting him off. So
that's all right.
Yeah.
All right. Question. Which racetrack do you think he's got the advantage at?
Hamlin or Harvick?
Hamlin.
Well, honestly, for Hamlin, I'm probably gonna say I'm gonna probably say one of the road courses. I think Watkins Glen.
Okay.
Do you guys remember who won the majority of the restrictor plate races last year? Hamlin, baby.
Yeah.
Watch him sneak through the field with 2 to go, slip and slide right up.
I want you to look at the schedule, Mike. Daytona's the cutoff race. What comes the week before that?
Was it Michigan?
Michigan.
Yeah.
Who's won 4 out of the last 5?
I know, but how many races have been won this year where you could put money down on the winner, other than Larson in the month of June?
Maybe 2.
Even with Truex won at tracks he doesn't normally win at.
And again, a lot of those, with the exception of Kyle Larson, were not, monumental, pounded out, dominating wins. Larson's were, and I got to give him that. But we're talking about 2 tracks and 2 drivers who have great success at both those tracks. Denny Hamlin, 3-time Daytona winner, 5th this year. Harvick, 4 out of the last 5 Michigan races, swept last year. I mean, we're talking about 2 guys who last year combined for 15 total wins who are winless. Think about that, winless in 22 races this season. Yeah. That's nuts. But if I had to choose who's going to win first, I think they both win coming down to the wire, which leaves that 16th spot really wide open if we don't get another surprise winner. I think Harvick wins first and Hamlin takes Daytona. And that's just my mind's eye looking at it as, okay, this is where Harvick does really well. This is where Hamlin does really well. They're both going to win before the playoffs, and it's going to go Harvick first, Hamlin second.
Yeah.
I said it a few minutes ago, but I got this really sneaky feeling like in the back of my neck that they don't make it.
If you get a shot, it'll clear it right up. Don't worry about it. I had that once. He'll learn.
Yeah.
He will learn.
I'm just saying, what a shock this season would be if the 2 guys that won 15 races this year don't even make the round of 16.
It's a shock already. I mean, yes, Hamlin's consistency in being 283 points above the cut line. And if you're looking at the playoff picture, as of right now, if the season ended now, his points only sit in 4th when you factor in the playoff points, the stage wins, etc., so forth. He sits in 4th. In overall points, he's 1st. Here's a guy that, in the unlikely event he doesn't win, let's say in the last 4 races, I'm going to pick 4 names out of my head. Chase Elliott, obviously, someone you look at the road courses. Kyle Busch, another one. We throw Harvick into the mix at Michigan, and then Daytona, it's anybody's ball game. And let's just say it's Chris Buescher.
Yeah.
3 guys win. We have 16 different winners. The playoffs are full. The regular season champion just got asked out. And that's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
All right, next question. And these 2 are kind of back-to-back, but they kind of go hand in hand. Starting with Corey, which multiple race winner from 2021 will win again in the next 4 races?
All right. Multiple winner of 2021. Okay. To be honest, I'm probably going to say Larson.
Okay. Mike?
No, not Larson. No, let's look. I mean, like 2 road courses. Chase knows he's already in, so let's look at I was just looking at, here it is, I got it. Kurt's comfortable, Brad's comfortable. Bell doesn't have to do anything. You might see Kyle Busch sneak one on the road course. He did well at COTA. He's been doing better at the road courses than he normally does.
But Kyle Busch has 1 win this season. We're talking about guys who have won more than 1. He's won 2.
More than 1.
Where else did Kyle? I'm sorry. Did he say Kyle or Kurt?
No, Kyle has 2 wins.
Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Kyle Busch. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I thought you said Kurt. My bad.
No, Kurt is comfortable. I'm looking at anything below like Byron. Those guys are pretty comfortable. They're just happy to be in. You're not going to see them try to win. Talking, Logano, Busch, Keselowski. Keselowski might try to steal Michigan. He has a real ties to Detroit, and he really likes that track. But guys with multiple wins, you got Chase, Kyle, Bowman, Truex. I put money on Bowman to steal Michigan. He won Auto Club last year.
Okay.
Give Bowman a late race, 10, 15 laps to go and a fresh set of tires, and his crew chief, that 48 card. See you later, dude.
Okay. Next question, second to last. Which multiple race winner from this season will have the toughest time in the next 4 races?
Not multiple race winner. The no race winner, Kevin Harvick, is going to struggle on the road courses, pal.
This is why English is a second language to some people.
The human pinball machine is going to – he's going to be all over Indy.
You want me to say the question slower?
Yeah.
Which multiple race winner from this season will have the roughest time in the next 4 weeks?
Roughest time. Let's say Truex. He's kind of on a decline as far as luck goes, despite overcoming adversity to still finish in the top 5. I say Truex.
I agree. Corey?
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to have to say the same because at the start of the season, he ended up winning 3 races, and it looked as if he was going to be the early championship favorite. But then I want to say right around, I think it was right after Mother's Day throughout the summer, that's when you pretty much saw that 19 team pretty much fall ass backwards. And not to mention, of course, I put $2 in the piggy bank.
There you go.
And not to mention, not during the summer. Well, during the summer, that 19 team struggled really bad, and they struggled hard. And I just kind of thought to myself, this is a team that's won 3 races this year, and I'm really surprised they're really doing that bad. I mean, if you look at it, they crashed. Well, they crashed on lap 6 during that rain and all that stuff, and then they fought back, and then I think they finished on the lead lap in 24th or something like that. But
Truex?
Yeah.
11th.
11th. Okay.
11th.
Yeah. But anyways, I just look at that 19 team right now, and I'm just thinking to myself, are these guys championship contenders, or are they just, or are they now just running in mid-pack most of the races? I mean, that's probably the only team I could pretty much think of right now.
Okay.
This was the time of year that last year that the 19 just dropped right off the mark and just started going backwards. Yeah. I think I have to correct myself, Corey, because weren't there crew chief suspensions on the 48 and the 9?
Yes.
For one race or how many races?
For one race.
One race, and that's just Watkins Glen?
Yeah, just Watkins Glen next weekend. And actually, it was funny because when they addressed that L1 penalty, I was looking at myself going, is this even a rule? I've never even heard of this rule before. I mean, honestly, I didn't even know they were doing that. But actually, let me see. I'm just going to pop this up real quick because me and my friend, we were talking about this. And just give me 1 second. So he says this in quote, unless that's more cracking down on Hendrick after how much of an ass whooping they delivered on the field since the All-Star race. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe NASCAR is probably keeping an eye on this team, I guess. So
close eye, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that might change Watkins, at least for Bowman, because we don't know who's going to be on the box making the calls. But I would say a monkey could be on the box and Chase Elliott would still win Watkins Glen. But, I mean, that's just his record at that track. So
yeah, true.
Okay. Last question. I'm going to read this list real quick. These are drivers with unknown contract status for the year 2022. The 00 of Quinn Huff is on a year-to-year deal. Tyler Reddick has no contract in place. He was announced in 2020. He had a 1-year deal.
I did not know that.
Yep. Wow. This is all from, by the way, this is all from J-Ski, so don't blame me. Austin Dillon does not have a contract, but again, when Granddad owns the team, you're probably not going anywhere. We talked about it last week and a little bit earlier. Eric Almirola is in a contract year, but he may have saved his job at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Chris Buescher in the 17, his contract ends at the end of the year, but everybody thinks he's going to remain there. Michael McDowell is on a year-to-year contract. Ryan Preece is on a year-to-year contract, and the lack of charter and the status of the driver-team combo is up in the air. Eric Jones is in a contract year. Petty holds the option to re-sign. Stenhouse announced a multi-year deal which ends at the end of this season, but the rumor is he's staying. I mentioned Christopher Bell had only 2 years on his deal. Alfredo's on a year-to-year. Cole Custer is at the end of his 2-year contract. I don't expect him to go anywhere. Cody Ware and Josh Balicki are on a year-to-year. And B.J. McLeod is a part owner of his own team, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The reason I ask you all these questions, and let me add that GMS, Colleague are coming in, GMS and Colleague. 23XI is expanding, but Kurt Busch has been linked to that ride. Trackhouse is expanding, and the continuous rumor that has not been confirmed, although he has mentioned it on his show, Junior Motorsports could possibly add a cup team, but he keeps saying over and over again, for the cost of a charter, I can run 2 cars full-time in the Xfinity Series for what it costs for 1 charter in the cup. Not like money's an object, but I understand you're running a business.
Right.
Having gone through all that, and because this seems to be the week that his name is going to be out there, you get one answer and one answer only. Where does Matt DiBenedetto land in 2022? Based on all this contract talk. And we'll start with Corey.
Thank you.
All right. I've been thinking long and hard about this. And to be quite honest, I really hope he gets that second Trackhouse car. I'm hoping.
Good deal. Mike, where you at, bud?
I had to think. I'm trying to think who's likely to stay and who's likely to go.
And
Jones has been.
There's a lot of holes in all of this when you hear the year-to-years, option here, option there. Guys like Dylan, look, if you're running a business, and I'm going to go back to talking about Junior Motorsports, and I'm going to put RCR in the same breath.
Yeah.
Junior said it best. I'm running a business. This isn't a hobby. This is a business. And if I'm going to do this, I need to have the money, the disposable income, but I also need to put somebody in that car that is going to be competitive.
Right.
I don't want to disparage Austin Dillon because it seems like every time I say something bad about Austin Dillon, he wins the next week. So, shh. Good job, Austin Dillon. You're killing it out there, kid. But, again, if I'm running a business, I don't care if my grandfather does own the team. I would expect that if I'm not performing, I'm out looking for a ride next season. That's that. But, again, we learned that nothing means anything in the world of contracts in NASCAR, as we learned with Cindric and Harrison Burton. It's all speculation till ink hits the paper.
Yeah.
All the handshake agreements go out the window. So, Mike, you're thinking, you're doing your little Macho Man Savage over there, thinking. Need an answer.
Thinking and doing things.
Cream of the crop.
Ooh, yeah. Now you got me on a Macho Man. Wait, how does he do it like this?
When we're all done, you can go to the Peacock Network and watch all the Macho Man your heart desires.
Mm-hmm. Ross is staying at Trackhouse, man. They're not going to kick Ross out. They talked to Keselowski talked
Wait
to
a minute.
Buescher.
Did you say Ross?
Yeah, Ross Chastain. Yeah,
He's a Ganassi car.
yeah, he's staying at Trackhouse. Bought Ganassi, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Continue.
We got to fill you in on what else has been happening lately.
Nope. I'm all good.
Just kidding. So I say Ross stays there. Jones probably stays with a 43. Almirola's kind of up in the air with the win now. Usually I assume these chess pieces are already in place, but this year there's been a lot of, there's been a lot of surprise so far.
Yeah.
A thought popped into my head. We see Gordon taking over Hendrick. We see Keselowski taking over Roush. Trackhouse taking over Ganassi. The old out with the old and with the new. Man, I had a thought pop in my head when you talked about Childress and Junior looking to buy a charter. What if it's not as expensive because Childress says to Dale Jr., this is your company now. Take over the keys. It's not a matter of money. I'm handing you the keys to the kingdom. I'm getting chills just thinking about it, dude. My face is like on fire. Dale Earnhardt Jr. owns Richard Childress Racing and owns that number 3 car. Man, how cool.
And shoves it straight up the butt of his stepmother.
Oh, yes.
That would be awesome.
Oh, my God. Junior Nation would be just like, and turns the 3 back, just the real 8 comes back. Oh, bring back the real 8.
So in your mind's eye, you're saying Matty D could potentially land with RCR?
No.
Then what was the rant for?
No. The
The
rant was I have to think about the players, who goes where, who does what, before I can think who wants Matty. Who wants Matty?
Oh,
At the end of the day, who wants Matty in their ride to improve it or get it better than where it is? And then there's the question of it's not always about who asks him, but where does he decide to go? Because someone like Spire could say, hey, come drive our 77. Well, that's a shit car. Sorry, language. But I don't want to drive that 77. I wouldn't even drive the 7. I wouldn't wipe my ass with the 7. No disrespect to Corey or Spire. It's not a ride suitable for Matt. He said in his video, I'm going to go and I'm going to win. I am going to win and I'm going to beat these guys. So
yeah.
I'm not going to predict where he's going to go. I'm just going to keep the faith and pray that he gets either an equal ride, if not a better one, but I don't see any good rides opening up unless someone like GMS or a colleague says, you're the guy we want,
I can see that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm of two minds of this situation. I'm like you said, he wants to go to a quality ride. It's either going to be a lateral move or a step forward. The lateral move that Corey already mentioned is Trackhouse. You have, obviously Suarez. They have the Ganassi charters coming in. Kurt Busch might be on the first thing smoking out of town to go join 23XI. So you have Chastain, Suarez. You have to fill that car. Not the worst thing ever. But, and again, it's a business. I get it. But I think a lot of these teams are learning that the shiny new toy doesn't always mean that they are what you expected them to be. And the only ride that I can see, and again, this is my want. This isn't my answer. My answer right now is Trackhouse. It's the best fit. But could I see Matty D returning to Toyota? Yes. Could I see Matty D returning to Toyota in the 20 car? I'd love it. It is far-fetched. However, Christopher Bell is in a contract year. He had a 2-year deal. You're shaking your head. Listen, who's the most expendable of those 4? Think about that lineup. And I want you to answer that question honestly, Mike. Who is the most expendable of those 4 drivers?
This is his rookie season, though.
No, last year was.
No, it's not his rookie
last
season.
year was in the 95, guys.
Yeah.
So he's got one more year.
No, his deal was to start in the 95 and move to the 20 after Jones exited.
Oh.
And of course,
I would think that'd be 2 separate deals.
Like Corey said, Levine has the technical alliance with Gibbs. So technically, he was a Gibbs driver in a Levine car.
He's got to win. He's got to win, though. You know, there have been rumors about Truex retiring, and he said and was quoted that if the next gen car is something he doesn't like or it doesn't go his way, retirement could be very possible. But
It could be, but it's still a year away. We're looking to put this guy right now in a car in our mind's eye, and we're talking about things that are a year away. Because if that, and you know what, I'll go with you on this one. If that were the case, and we're waiting for someone to retire, and we just want to put someone in a car to take up seat time, and then someone retires, and we have that secret backdoor deal with ink on the paper, that guy right there behind me. If Harvick is already proven he can run a team on the Xfinity level and the truck level, he could certainly run a cup team. He's got the money. He's got the know-how. He can get anybody in that garage. Hi, I'm Kevin Harvick. Want a job? Yeah. He can do it. If we're doing the wait and see game, I want Matty in the 4. If we're talking about Daytona Speed Weeks 2022, I see Matt going to Trackhouse, but I could also see Matt returning to Toyota. Christopher Bell has not lived up to expectations, in my opinion. And when you look at that all-star lineup, as much as I hate to say his name in a good way, Kyle Busch, champion. Denny Hamlin, potential champion. Martin Truex Jr., champion. Which of these kids is not like the others? It's Christopher Bell. The shiny new toy thing, the shiny new toy thing, I said it last year, I'm going to say it this year. And Harrison Burton is going to prove me right this year. And Cindric, not so much. We know Cindric's got the skills that'll pay the bills.
Yeah.
Harrison Burton is going to prove me 1,000% right this year. The shiny new toy isn't what you want. It looks good for a minute, then it goes up on the shelf, and you play with the cool toys that you've had forever.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Bell is expendable.
Yeah.
One point that I thought of, I brought it up in one of our earlier episodes, and it's a solid point against Matt, unfortunately. He does not bring sponsorship to the table, sadly.
You're right.
He doesn't bring a win or sponsor or playoff appearance.
I would say he's more consistent on the top level than some of the shiny new toys have been. I will say that it didn't matter. You know, again, Chase Elliott came in with a name, and it took him 2 years to win. Matt has not, and he had competitive cars. Tell me one time other than the last 2 years, Matty D has had a competitive ride. I'll eat your hat. Exactly. He hasn't.
And Matt's, just to add to your point, Matt's had second place finishes that should have been wins, and
Exactly.
Chase had a few, but not as many.
And one thing to look at, and I'm with you 1,000%. And one thing to look at more than anything else, he has popularity right now. NASCAR Nation as a whole is rooting for this kid. Corey himself told the story. Being in the stands, Matty D takes the lead. He's running away with it. Yeah. I couldn't hear myself think when Matt D took that lead in New Hampshire. People love this guy. And you know what that brings? Brings money. And that will bring the sponsorship. If you are Gibbs Racing and, we signed Matt D to the 20, but we don't have sponsorship. Put your own logo on the front of the car. He's going to pick up a hell of a lot of top fives. He's going to win a race in that 20 if he were to go there. All speculation Jones right now.
Yeah.
And then the sponsorship comes in. Then you're going to get that mid-season. Hey, Matt D in the number 20 Toyota just signed with Glade, and those little stink bombs you put in your room to make it not smell. He's going to put that on the car. Who cares? I don't care if Matt DiBenedetto went to be it Trackhouse or Gibbs, and it was Tampax. I don't care.
Yeah.
Get in a car that you already know this guy can drive. Give him a good car and watch him win. That's the point.
Let me backpedal here. The 95 kicks Matty out to bring in Christopher Bell, to prune him, to bring him up. He's the chosen one. Matt's got to kick dust, and luckily picked up the Wood Brothers, which is technically Penske. Backtrack Gibbs. Let's look at Gibbs' history here. Very rarely do they fill rides. Do they have drivers retire that they fill rides? Like J.J. Yaley out. He didn't do nothing. Kyle Busch in. Denny Hamlin took the 11. Tony Stewart leaves the 20. Joey Logano in. Solid. Not great, but solid. Logano goes to Penske. Matt Kenseth, champion, in. Solid. Not up from Busch. Kenseth, champion, in. Then Kenseth out. Jones in, right? Up from Xfinity. Prodigy, comes up. From the 77, again, prunes Toyota into 20. Rookie. Jones, Bell was the chosen one from Xfinity, tearing it up, doing way better than, the solid three that were there. I can't really say. The 19, Edwards jumps out. Got to bring Suarez up. Maybe wasn't ready, but they had to fill the hole. I'm telling you their history, because when have they ever plucked a guy from somewhere else and put him in a Gibbs? Gibbs is like Hendrick level. They are super picky about their drivers. And it's nothing against Matt. I love Matt, but I don't see Gibbs happening. The fact that Harrison – here's another good point. The fact that Harrison had to settle to go to the Wood Brothers, to leave Joe Gibbs equipment. That's – everyone wants Joe Gibbs equipment. John Hunter Nemechek went to the Truck Series to get his hands on a Toyota. That's how far down you had to go to get your hands on Toyota.
And the reason Burton took that deal because he wants to ride Cup so badly, and there was no spot for him.
Nowhere to go. Exactly. That's my point.
Going back to your Gibbs point, Martin Truex Jr. wins the championship in a single car operation, and where is he 2 years later? Gibbs.
But that's a championship, though. That's why I said Kenseth champion.
Furniture Row, for what it's worth, Furniture Row, single car operation, when they were good, put together really good cars that could win on any given weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Now, am I saying that, Truex went through Michael Waltrip Racing, had success, but he had a good car because Michael Waltrip had the alliance with, first, it was DEI, and then further, he had technical alliance with RCR. So there was always something there that he could grab onto. Move forward. Truex is out of the 56. He goes to the 78, does really well. Then he goes to Gibbs. You give a guy a good car, he's going to show you what he can do. And that's my point throughout this entire thing. We know the kid can drive. We know he's got what it takes to get victory lane. You said it yourself, Mike. He's been second how many times and should have won those races? Probably 5 or 6. You put that kid in a top ride, he gets 4 wins next season. Mark it. You put if Matty D, for some God unknown reason, if Gibbs sacks Christopher Bell and says, "Hey, you're not living up to expectations. See ya, beat sticks," and they put Matt in the 20, he wins 4 races next year.
I can see that.
Because it's top equipment, and now you have a guy and equipment that go together that are equal level. Matt is a driver here. Matt's equipment is here. And you can talk about Penske being, they have a technical alliance with Penske. Cool. But is he getting the Keselowski and Logano level equipment? He's not even getting Blaney level equipment. He's getting, we got some extra stuff. Here, take it. Enjoy. Hendrick passed on Truex. No, we didn't say that, Rich. Thank you, though. That is a good point. But did it matter? At the end of the day, Hendrick did pass on Truex Jr., but he's found his way to get on his feet everywhere he's gone. And I think you give Matt a good ride, Matt's going to prove us all that our heart and our soul and us cheering for him on Sunday, regardless of who you root for in the main line. Look, I'm draft and follow. Harvick's going to retire. I'm Matty D all the way as soon as Harvick retires. But you give that dude a good car, you're talking about, I'm not saying championship. That's a couple years. That'd be a couple 5 years away. I'm talking about he could make championship 4 in that 20. Absolutely. And if you want to go even further, like you mentioned, Mike, and Corey and I talked about it last season, Truex has been hinting at retirement for 2 years. He's in his 40s, so is Harvick. You got a lot of really good rides coming up. Give him an underneath ride until. And I consider the 14 and the 41 on the Stewart-Haas side underneath rides. They're not the 10 and they're not the 4. They're not proven winners. Yes, Boyer won a couple races in the 14. Yes, Stewart won in the 14. But let's be clear. How many guys are lighting the world on fire in Stewart-Haas that aren't named Almirola or Harvick? The answer is none.
And once the 4 won the championship, that car became the flagship of Stewart-Haas. The 14 was fading, Stewart was fading, and the 4 just became the flagship. So.
And again, to go to Rich's point, he says about Truex, look at him now. Amazing. This is a guy that every week, when you look at the favorites, and I can go back into 2 years of my notebooks looking at our pick sets. Truex is always in the mix somehow. We're always talking about, again, there was the year, Corey, which year was it? The Truex and Larson show. And neither one of them won the championship.
2017.
No, Truex won championship.
Truex won that year. That's right.
Yeah.
But, dude, if it wasn't Truex, it was Larson. If it wasn't Larson, it was Truex. It was kind of like Harvick Hamlin, except one of them got to hold up the trophy.
Yeah.
Again, I give Kyle Larson a lot of credit. The Ganassi cars were really good. Were they Gibbs and Hendrick level or even Stewart-Haas level? No, but they were right here. They weren't the Wood brothers. They weren't Furniture Row. But God bless America. That kid wheeled that car. Look at him now. He's in Hendrick. He's killing it.
Yeah.
They should just change the name every year for NASCAR, much like you had Mr. September, Harry Gant. Now you have Mr. June, Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
My question to you, Chris and Corey, you said lateral move. What would be a lateral move for Matty? What is a equal car that Matt could take?
Trackhouse, Ganassi. Trackhouse or Ganassi?
It's the same.
Comes to mind immediately.
One and the same. The same group.
All right. Corey, you hit this one. I'm going to think about this.
Yeah, honestly, Trackhouse pretty much came to mind. But I think if you look at it, let's say if college racing decides, okay, why don't we step it up and get Matt DiBenedetto? Why not? That would also be it would be quite a good fit for him. That's the only thing I can think of. But I don't know if you guys saw, but I think last week, Roger Penske was on Sirius XM radio, and he said to Matt that they were only going to give him like a 1-year deal, and then he was basically going to be out the door. And actually, one little thing, and I did see the article last week, on how Cindric was going to go to the 2, and then Matty D was being bounced out for Harrison Burton and stuff. Let's be honest. Cindric going to the 2 car for Penske, I wasn't surprised. But then yet again, when you have Harrison Burton, I thought, well, okay. Why is he going into that car, even though he made his only Cup debut, which was at Talladega back in April? But then the reason why, and I think it kind of makes sense, is because the reason why he's going to go in that 21 car is he's not only going to run full-time next year, but is also going to bring full-time sponsorship. For a pretty much example, you have Dex Imaging, which he sponsors in the Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs. So I kind of thought, okay, it kind of makes sense. But I'd still say, in my opinion, I think not only Ford screwed him over, but pretty much Penske screwed him over. And I was really hoping that Penske was going to give him a chance. But to see that happen last week, I was very disappointed. I really, really was. I was hoping, Penske was going to give him a chance, and look what happened. But I think if you look at it, I think those are the only 2 options that I can think of. Is pretty much Trackhouse and Ganassi. Trackhouse and Kaulig. Those are the only 2 teams I can think of, unless GMS Racing, which of course they're going into the Cup Series for the first time this year, decides, okay, why don't we step it up and pick this guy's shot?
But is GMS a lateral move? And the one name that came up earlier, if it's not going to be Trackhouse, a lateral move side to side, you're not going down, you're not taking a step down, you're just kind of staying at the same level ish. RCR.
I need to mention, and Corey talking about it. Damn it, and it flew right out the window. There, it's gone. Oh man. If we, you said Roger Penske said Matt Steele was only for 1 year. Let's rewind the clock back a year, to quote Heath Ledger. These
cops and lawyers
wouldn't dare cross any of you.
Oh my Lord.
So we're looking at 2021 and 2020. Next Gen was supposed to be coming out this year. Yeah. So Matt's deal was for 1 year. Next Gen comes out, Matt's out. Cindric 21. So he got an extension because of COVID, because of the pushback of the Next Gen car. So that's something where we might be overstepping. Was maybe Matt didn't get screwed, but they definitely should have kept him in that ride. Oh, and Corey, my point was last week's episode, I did my research. I looked at the Xfinity Series points. If you look at the top 5 in points, you've got Cindric, Allmendinger, Allgaier. Fourth is, I think, Jeb Burton, maybe? Yeah. No. Isn't it?
In points? No, sir. No, sir. The points as they stand right now.
Oh, it's Hemrick. Sorry. Hemrick is 4th, and then guess who's in 5th place, Corey?
That schmuck.
Harrison Burton.
Yeah.
Now, if you are the Wood brothers, right, and you have lost Austin Cindric like you were supposed to have, you go down to the Xfinity Series. Who's available? Is Allmendinger? Nope, he's with a colleague. Is Allgaier? Nope, he's not coming up. Nobody wants him to come up for some reason. That blows my mind. I thought Allgaier was going to the 48. Still mad about that. And Hemrick got sent down, so they're not going to pull Hemrick up.
No.
And he may not want to leave now that he's got his hands on Gibbs. So you look at it, who's your next option? Harrison Burton. He's 5th in points. He's doing better than Noah Gragson. It's an easy selection. And like you mentioned, the sponsors that come with it.
Does anybody remember a word that I'm sure we all learned when we were young men, and for those of you young ladies that happen to be watching, loyalty? Matty D in the last 2 years has put the Wood brothers back on the map. Yes, Blaney won in the 21. Who'd they have before that? Trevor Bayne. Who'd they have before that? It's been a parade of suckitude.
I was a Trevor Bayne fan.
I apologize for your sadness.
Yeah.
It has been a parade of suckitude in the 21. Matty
Paul Menard.
Again, same. Paul Menard. Again, another bum.
Yeah.
Joke.
Look, when daddy's got a lot of money, or grandpa, hi, Austin, how are you? Matty D brought that car back. Nobody talked about the Wood brothers unless they were getting towed behind the wall in the last 10 years. A one-off maybe here and there. Matty D has put the Wood brothers back on the map. Loyalty means nothing anymore in NASCAR or in many sports where you have a guy, let's say, has played for your team or driven for your team for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and we're just not going to offer you a contract. We don't think you have what it takes. Gee, I'm sorry. Wasn't there a young gentleman, and I say young because he's younger than me, who decided to move football teams and at the ripe old age of 43 brought home a championship this past January? Loyalty doesn't mean anything in sports anymore. Tom Brady's proven it. Roger Clemens proved it. Michael Jordan proved it. At the end of the day, it's all about the dollar. And if they think that the shiny new toy, and he never destroys equipment, Harrison will cost them a lot of money. Thank you, Richie. You are now my favorite listener. Thank you. The check is in the mail, kid. And it goes right back to that. It's loyalty. Look, at no point did I think when Kurt Busch lost that 2 ride that they owed him any loyalty. He was being a schmuck. His life was going downhill at 70,000 miles an hour, and he was about to hit the ground and explode. Turned his life around. Now he's back, and he has a whole new respect. I have watched guys get kicked out of rides over the last 30-plus years that did not deserve to lose those rides because loyalty doesn't mean a damn thing anymore.
I need to wrap up and I need to jump out if you guys want to keep going. We do have an active audience. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. But I would like to ask like a quick 90-second answer from both of you guys. Why
don't we wrap it up with that? Get your question, we'll answer, and we'll bail. And guys, don't forget, share this out with your friends.
Please do.
Absolutely. So, quick question. Does Ryan Newman retire?
Yes.
Yeah, I as much as it pains me to say it, because I do have a soft spot in my heart for Ryan Newman as a driver, as a person, and just for a lot of other reasons, it's time. He hasn't been competitive really in the last 3 or 4 years. Daytona, unfortunately, the crash was the last time I really saw Ryan Newman competitive, and that was last February. That was 2020. Yeah. I was joking with a friend of mine who is a huge Ryan Newman fan, and he got a kick out of it. I said, Ryan Newman crashing started the pandemic. And it was a goof, and we had a good laugh about it. And he looked at me and goes, dude, I really think it's time. I'm like, I get it. Trust me. I watched Rusty Wallace, basically field fill, still competitive, top 10, but he was a field filler for the last 2 years of his career. I don't want to see that for Ryan Newman, and unfortunately, I have been for the last 2 years. Yeah, Ryan Newman, if it were you, if it were me, tip your cap, go hug those kids, and live the life you deserve, my man.
Now, I will say he did put CPR into Roush, and they were pretty much dead at the time. He did bring them up and brought up, and Busher jumping in there last year, all that good stuff. And he did almost win Talladega, I think twice. At least once. He was beat by Blaney. The Ryan and Shell. So he was competitive on the restrictor plate tracks.
All right.
But
well, you say he almost won the Talladega here. You guys are both Red Sox fans. You may not be old enough to have seen this man play, but Jerry Remy hit a home run a year. Who cares? I was competitive 1 week. Nobody cares. Jerry Remy hit a home run once every year. Who cares? Yeah. At the end of the day, in a competitive sport, even one of the greatest of all time, and you can call it like you see it, or you can call it by the color of your hat. I don't care. One of the greatest of all time, Derek Jeter, knew when to say when.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan did not. He kept going.
So Keselowski, in an article, stated that he attempted to contact Ryan Newman to offer him a part-time schedule. Newman declined to reply, and Keselowski was unsure of how a half a season or limited schedule sponsorship would even work. But at the end of the day, it is Ryan Newman. I do think he would have some loyal sponsors that would jump on for him, but I don't see it happening.
Keep talking. I want to bring up a stat or two, and Corey might have this already at his fingertips or at least in his head, because everybody knows Corey is the Rain Man of racing, and I think that's awesome because it's one of my favorite movies, and I got my daughter to watch it recently.
So Corey, you said flat out no, right? You didn't want to add to that?
I think You want to add? Yeah, you want to add to Ryan Newman potentially retiring?
I pretty much said Newman's going to retire at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's why, in my opinion, Ryan Newman should just call it a day. You're offering a guy a part-time schedule, 18 wins, 266 top tens, 51 poles, a Daytona 500 underneath his belt, and in the new era of the championship run, finished second to the eventual champion Kevin Harvick. That's not a guy you offer a part-time deal to. Okay, he's a 43-year-old man. He's not Darrell Waltrip. He's not Morgan Shepherd. I mean, he's not even, Harry Gant toward the later years. This is a guy who's still young, but if Ryan Newman knows what's good, he should just tip his hat, thank the good Lord he had a shot to do what he loved for a living and beat feet and get himself a nice condo on the beach. Or start
an Xfinity, your truck team, and race your own car.
There you go. And do it. That's more like not a hobby, so to speak, but you want to run?
Still in the sport.
Yeah, if you want to run, you run. If you don't, you call up somebody and go, hey, Billy Bob, you want to run this truck this weekend? Sure, I'm on my way. Boom. This is not a guy you offer a part-time schedule to because he's a proven commodity, much like Matty D. You don't offer the shiny new toy what somebody earned with their blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
So I do want to say that we are officially brought to you by the Georgia Racing Hall of Fame and our good friend Cody Dinsmore. Want to check them out in Dawsonville. I know that siren was blaring when Chase won Road America July 4th. I'm going to give my quick shout out to Ward Burton. I want to thank him for coming on came on Jordan's podcast, Race Talk, but for talking to me and agreeing to come on our show as soon as he becomes available. And what I did for Ward is I went on Groove Life, who sponsors Jeb Burton. Now, they're not on his car yet, but he does do like sponsorships on Facebook, like promotions and stuff like that. And Ward even showed us he's got one of them. So I went out and I bought this thing, man. It's just too cool. I had to have one. They make rings too. And I got to say, guys, this is the best belt I've ever owned. They have a lifetime warranty that I wasn't aware of. So if it breaks, if it cuts, you get it lost, they send you a new one. Can't beat that. Groove Life on Facebook.
There you go.
Thank you, Ward. Thank you, Jeb.
As opposed to Word Life, which is from West Newbury, Massachusetts, not far from Corey. That's a John Cena reference, Corey. Get on the bus.
I threw up. Oh,
yeah.
All right.
This is the part where we say goodbye to you folks. And once again, we're not going to throw all the plugs in because Mike has something he's got to take care of. We can plug everything next week twice.
No, go ahead and plug real quick.
I really have nothing to plug this week other than Guido Nation, fans of Matt Benedetto. Go check them out. I will be posting the tribute video later tonight on not only the Speedway Review, but NASCAR Daily. Corey, pimp, plug, and otherwise push, please.
Yeah, I got nothing to say. I'm voiced out right now, so pretty much that's it for me.
I want to get some ideas of what to do next week because we got, it's a slow news week. I want to hear from the fans. I kind of like to see if they have some ideas. If you want to talk about a singular driver, we can do like a 20-minute segment on just one driver. Like we love Matty, Jeff Gordon, past driver, whoever. We could do a specific past race, a past season. I really think we should take a poll on the groups and see what the fans say. What do the fans say? Let them add options and do a little fan segment next week.
And the best part about that idea is hopefully you will join us if you vote in the poll and be a part of it live and in living color. On a show that I used to do, we called it Ask Us Anything. And we would do that once every 4 or 5 months. And I gotta tell you, man, we had some of the funniest stuff, the questions that people come up with. And this is about racing, so hopefully you guys will keep it clean and somewhat classy. Unless you're asking about Kyle Busch, then F Kyle Busch. But no, in all honesty, ask us anything. This is a racing show. Corey is Stat Boy Deluxe. He's the Rain Man of racing. Mike, I'm learning week by week, is just passionate and does his homework. I am basically the Costanza. I'm just going to come straight at you, and I don't care who I hurt, when I hurt, and how I hurt. But if it hurts your feelings, tough, there's the door. Get a tissue on your way out, and make sure you buy a T-shirt at the gimmick stand. But having said that, we will have some big news hopefully coming up in about 2 to 3 weeks if Mike, Corey, and myself, A, decide on a new logo, and B, we all do what we need to do to make things happen. So keep that in mind. Past that, you guys have a great night. Next week, we're obviously going to be previewing Watkins Glen because this Sunday is the last Sunday without racing. So we can still do Ask Us Anything. We can still do Fan Participation Jones. But remember, we got, I believe, all 3 series are running Watkins Glen next week.
Yes. Yep.
So we're gonna have a lot to talk about, especially with Xfinity and trucks coming even closer. They end their regular season before Cup does. So we got a lot to discuss this coming Wednesday. But on a side note, perhaps next week we may have a guest, not sure, to join us in talking about it. I've mentioned him before, and he's just got to clear a little bit of his schedule. In Seekonk right now, going for the $10,000 this week is Joey Ternulo, Connecticut racing champion, my man Walnuts. And Corey, next week, got to wear the shirt.
Deal.
All right, I'll wear mine. Mike, we'll get you one. If Joey meets you, he might actually like you. By the way, how do you feel about the Green Bay Packers?
No.
Yeah, Joey's not going to like you.
Black and yellow, baby. Black and yellow, not green.
Joey's not going to like you.
No. Wisconsin put out the 2 most awful things in America, the Green Bay Packers and Matt Kenseth. Don't like Wisconsin. Love cheese.
How do you not?
Wow.
Kenseth? What?
Number 1 rival to Jeff Gordon much?
Well,
I would have picked Senior.
Like big rival.
2003 champion, didn't even win a race? No. Screw Matt Kenseth. The next Mark Martin.
He lobotomed himself.
Yeah.
Matt Kenseth is a 2-time Daytona 500 winner.
Don't care. Rained out. That was Elliott Sadler. That was Elliott Sadler's win, and NASCAR stole it from him.
Okay, what about in 2012 when he won the rain delayed race, and then minus the fact we had the jet dryer incident, and of course the race didn't end till like 1 o'clock in the morning.
What about McDowell being behind Chase Elliott when the caution comes out? It's Daytona. Someone always gets screwed, and someone that doesn't deserve to win wins. I mean, David Reagan has one win at Daytona.
Hey, the best thing I like about Wisconsin is pretty much Alan Kowicki, who's the consistent champion. You know, the guy that pretty much beat the odds. You know, at the time where Junior Johnson offered him a ride, and Alan said, "You know what? I really like your ride, but I want to do this myself." And what do you know? He starts his own team. 1992, he wins the championship. And not only he beat Bill Elliott that year, but he beat guys like Davey Allison, Mark Martin, and
Dale Earnhardt,
Harry Gant.
Yep.
How do you not go wrong with that?
I didn't know he was from Wisconsin. I don't know much about Kowicki.
I got 4 words about Wisconsin. Dick Trickle for life.
You can't go wrong with Dick Trickle. Dick Trickle. No.
The name should be illegal to say in every.
Dick Trickle is probably one of the best short.
There are children listening.
Hold on.
No,
he's not Corey.
No, Dick Trickle was one of the best short track racers around the country. Heck, Rusty Wallace has mentioned about him. Kenny Wallace has mentioned about him. I mean, come on. Like, even though he didn't do that great in NASCAR, like, come on. Like, have you seen how he's done on the short tracks? I mean, why do you think they call him the White Knight?
I've never even seen him race.
And the oldest rookie of the year in NASCAR history at 48 years old.
Yeah. That's true.
All right, 1:45. Let's call it. I got to get up.
Let's call it. Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Y'all be good. We'll catch you next week.